Hey, Ayurveda Everyday with Talia. This is Talia, and I'm so excited because today, for my Vitality Sessions series that I'm doing in here in as a Facebook Live, I have a special guest, Billy Merritt, who is the founder of one of my all-time favorite superfood companies, Billy's Infinity Greens. So, woohoo! Welcome, Billy.
Thank you so much, Talia. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, like I work for your company and have for a while, so this is the first time that you and I are actually meeting face to face, and that's super rad. So what the reason why I wanted to have Billy on the Vitality Sessions is because that's what his line of products are all about, of building vitality through nutrition and nourishment. And if you've been following me for a while, you've heard me talk about his products multiple times because I'm a huge fan of the bars. Like a lot of my students, especially my cleansers, are always looking for, what can I be eating when I'm on the go that's still going to keep me really vibrant and not like a dry, unsatisfying food bar. And yours bars are one of the first that I recommend always. And they're infused with some of his other, his powders, which we'll get to in a second. And so for those of you who are tuning in live, you can ask us questions during this interview. So feel free. We'd love to hear from you. Okay. So Billy, do you want to say anything? Do you want to introduce yourself in any particular way to Ayurveda Everyday with Talia?
Well, sure. As you know, natural health is my ultra passion, and I've been doing the Infinity Superfoods for 13 years. Largely originally inspired by, well, two things: my own healing of a brain condition, and also working at health retreats and just watching these simple plant foods have such a profound influence on people's health. And it was like, okay, well, I need to get something rolling here so that the masses can be enjoying the benefits that these profoundly amazing superfoods can provide.
Awesome. Yes. And the way that I met you, well, I would see your products here in Santa Cruz. So FYI, anyone who's local to Santa Cruz watching this, wondering where you can find Billy's products, Staff of Life carries them, the Herb Room, and New Leaf in Capitola has the vitamin C. No, New Leaf downtown has the vitamin C. Staff of Life has everything. But I think that's how I became familiar, was I saw your product and was like, oh, because I was working for Health Force Nutritionals, which you're good friends with, or you're right, Jameth, and
That's
you,
true.
yes,
Yep.
and you and Ty,
Mm-hmm.
and your products are different but equally powerful and just have your own special formulations. So a lot of my students and clients have a concern around brain health and memory. A lot of the people who follow me are perimenopausal or menopausal, and they're starting to notice that their brain function is not what it used to be. So I know we're going to talk about more than one of your products, but I wanted to start by talking about your memory formula because I think it's a really powerful product, and it has a lot of ingredients that I think people who are interested in Ayurveda have a curiosity about. Particularly, it's the lion's mane, is that right? One of the
Yep.
medicinal
It's
mushrooms in
a
there.
medicinal mushroom. Yep.
Like I want to ask you about that because in Ayurveda, mushrooms are more, dark and damp and kind of tamasic, or like have a dull energy, but medicinal mushrooms are very different from mushrooms that we would just be cooking in the kitchen or finding at the health food store, grocery store. So I want to ask you about that, and also about your take on ashwagandha and turmeric, which are two of the other ingredients in that formula.
Mm-hmm. yes, these are all ingredients that I just love and really believe in, that they just have such a huge impact on the brain, in fact, which is, of course, so vitally important. The reality is, in this modern day and age where we're living like this inflammatory lifestyle, the brain is unfortunately one of the first things that gets weaker, and then unfortunately there's the domino effect that everything gets weaker because the brain is taking care of everything in the body. It's telling all the organs and functions what to do. And so memory is actually just one of many of the strengths of the brain. And unfortunately, it's where you notice the weakness the fastest. It's a barometer in a sense. And I like to call it infinity memory for that reason, that it's where it's most noticeable right away, but I'm actually renaming the product to Infinity Brain because it's really just all about the neurological health, where again, memory is just one of the things reflected.
Okay. And do you put, I'm forgetting, I don't have the product right in front of me, don't you also put the Klamath, do you put Klamath Lake blue-green algae, or do you put an algae in that product as well?
So there's Klamath algae, moringa leaf, holy basil, lion's mane, ashwagandha, and turmeric. And each of these serves a very specific purpose. And so I'd be glad to talk about ashwagandha and turmeric. Those are the ones that you mentioned, and then the lion's mane as well. Mm-hmm. So if you want, I can just give you the nutshell version of what exactly it is they're doing and why they play such a vital role.
Yeah, I want our listeners to understand like why those ingredients are in there, because they're using ashwagandha and turmeric right in their teas and their warm milks and different places. So that would be great.
Well, sure. So turmeric is just profoundly amazing because it's all about enhancing your circulation. Like I just mentioned a moment ago, we're living these inflammatory lifestyles, not deliberately, of course, but processed sugar, for example, is an inflammatory, and we're eating so many foods that cause inflammation in the body, and that essentially you are restricting blood flow when you're creating inflammation. Of course, like significant inflammation you get from an injury. And what makes injuries stubborn to heal is that oxygen, nutrient-rich blood can't get in there to do its healing work.
The swelling and the constriction of the blood vessels.
Yeah, and so essentially, so much of what we're eating is just kind of slowly adding up and having that inflammatory effect where the brain is, of course, vitally important for having solid circulation that, knock on wood, unfortunately, that's why Alzheimer's is becoming, it's increasing because of just the reduced inflammation in general with this modern lifestyle. So turmeric is profoundly amazing. It's in a way kind of like a natural aspirin, only better because you can take it every day. It has a subtle blood thinning effect, and so cooking with it, having it in infinity memory, is hugely beneficial. You're absolutely reducing inflammation, so you can get those healing elements from your oxygen, nutrient-rich blood to go in and do its healing work.
Love it.
So I also have a formula called Infinity Pain Relief. Yes. I would show you some, but I gave away my last bottle. My friend came over yesterday and had an injured wrist, and he said it's been stubborn, this won't heal. And I explained that you need to be living like this inflammatory routine. And that's why injuries can take like 3 times as long to heal.
Right.
And so actually I'll share with you that the Infinity Pain Relief in terms of memory is just as important as the memory formula itself. What makes it extra strength is that it has the pepper extract. And that's good for people to know that it's actually a synergy between pepper and It's about 20 times, actually, and that's huge. And I'll share with you that the reason I don't add pepper extract in my memory formula is because I want everybody to be able to take this.
Okay.
There are a lot of people like myself that can't take strong blood thinners. And so having just that small amount of turmeric that you're taking every day, that sure does add up. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions about the turmeric, or should I talk about ashwagandha?
No, I mean, I just want to say that, like, I lead Ayurvedic cleanses every season. So right now we're in the summer cleanse, and summer is, ruled by the Pitta dosha. It's all about heat and reducing inflammation. And I was thinking about it earlier today too, kind of with inflammation, it's, of course, we want to reduce acidity and eat more alkaline forming foods, but we're also looking to cultivate like our healthy fire. And I feel like turmeric is one of those herbs that on a even deeper than physical level helps you access like your inner warrior, so to speak. Like it helps get your healthy fire moving by opening up the blood supply and improving circulation. So I just love it. If anyone watching has questions, please type them in. We'll see them and I'll see them and I can tell Billy what they are. But I'd love for you to speak to ashwagandha. Again, just I think it's so interesting to have, you're not necessarily, you don't position yourself as an Ayurvedic expert, so I don't think that you are. I don't know. But I like hearing people who have a different background speak about herbs that are so revered in Ayurveda. I just think it helps everyone who wants to learn Ayurveda and live Ayurveda get it on a deeper level of why these herbs matter.
Right. And ashwagandha definitely plays a vital role in the infinity memory formula. That it's profound, actually, how it is subtly stress reducing, which actually over time it isn't so subtle. So cortisol is created by the adrenals. It's a stress hormone just from the intense stimulation in this fast-paced modern lifestyle. And that it basically, it serves a purpose. That when you are, for example, like threatened by somebody running toward you, your cortisol just blows up so that you can run hyperspeed.
Yeah.
But because this lifestyle is hyperspeed, it's all your adrenals are producing too much, and when it accumulates in your body, basically, the thing that weakens first is the brain. You feel fatigue, depression, anxiety, and it absolutely is reflected through all channels of your health as far as a reduced immune system, inflammation, and a whole host of other things. Alzheimer's, all neurodegenerative diseases is a really big deal.
Yeah.
And so, of course, there's no silver bullet. We need to be living a lifestyle with a greater degree of inner peace, with doing your meditative practices and doing things, getting out in nature, going for walks, and things that help you reduce your stress. But having a diet and supportive adaptogenic foods like ashwagandha are absolutely supremely helpful. To be taking something like that every day, that for an unknown reason, it actually reduces the cortisol production. And so it definitely just streamlines a little more peace throughout the neurological system. And so, yeah, it's a profoundly amazing food, definitely.
Yeah, love it. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with ashwagandha. Now, just on a side note, ashwagandha is contraindicated in Ayurveda when there's a lot of ama, which is like heavy, dull, excess. So if if you're watching this and you're like, oh, ashwagandha, but you're holding a really like a lot of excess weight for your body, or you're just really clogged up, do a cleanse of some kind first, like get some of that heaviness out and then bring the ashwagandha in. It's the only contraindication in Ayurveda is when the ama is really high, because it does really it doesn't build ama, but it builds what I call healthy kapha, like a buffer. And so you need to have like a clarity of space for that really clean, clear buffer to come in and help you. Okay.
Because it's a powerful food. This is definitely powerful. No joke. This is nothing subtle. That is why, in fact, I only put 400 milligrams in a serving.
Okay.
So that it's something you can take every day. And people have used it very intensively where they're taking these large doses of extracts and using it to treat a true condition of anxiety. But it's one of those things when you're using it that intensively to only use it for a short period, because using anything of that nature, being as powerful as it is, using it for too long can throw other things out of balance, like you're talking about.
Totally.
Sure.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, good point. So I want to transition to medicinal mushrooms, like just hear you talk about why they are so profoundly amazing. I love that's like your little phrase you keep saying. I love it. I always say amazing too. And kind of, I know it's in the memory formula. It's also in your chai, which is one of my favorite products in the world. I drink it almost, not every day, but I drink it a lot. So yeah, talk to us about medicinal mushrooms, and then I want to ask you questions on some other things.
Mushrooms are another one of those mysterious foods where how they influence the body so significantly is also a mystery, but it's been used. Mushrooms, and there are about 700 medicinal mushrooms, if you can believe it. It's actually the number one organism on our planet. It grows through the entire planet to a certain depth, of course. The first life on Earth, however, and it is, well, there's debate whether it was bacteria or mushrooms, but either way, it's been around a long time and used for thousands of years in Chinese medicine. And so, specifically, the lion's mane and infinity memory is, it's about neuroregeneration. It's basically helping damaged nerves in the brain.
Okay.
These nerves that construct the neural pathways are sending information all throughout the brain, and absolutely, when those messages are not circulating through the brain like they otherwise should, it damages your memory. And I suffered with that tremendously from seizures. You know, that was my healing journey.
I didn't know that. That's that was your sort of brain issue, was seizures?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, there was a time where I was having like up to 10 seizures in a day.
Oh my gosh.
Days and days. I've had thousands of seizures in my life.
Wow.
No exaggeration.
When did they start? How old were you?
I had my first seizure when I was 21.
Okay.
Yeah, woke up in the hospital not knowing how I got there with a broken shoulder.
Wow. Oh my god.
It's amazing what the body can do, how strong it is when your brain has that intense electrical reaction where, in a way, it kind of shows how our superpowers, the fact that your muscles can tense up so much that you can literally break bones. Anyway, whole other topic that I'm very passionate about.
Oh my god.
A whole other topic. But the point being that when you have seizures, you're doing damage to your brain.
Sure.
You're doing damage to neural pathways.
Right.
And so cut to the finish line and do whatever you can and rebuild your damaged neural pathways.
Right. So this would be for MS.
One of the things. What's that?
This would also be for someone with MS, right? Like this same advice?
Really, anybody with any brain condition where your brain, the messaging throughout your brain isn't working at its best, it's absolutely going to be supportive. It's another one of those adaptogenic superfoods where what that means is it's helping your body adapt to the stressors and just supporting the healing process where it's not stimulation. You know,
right.
Caffeine, for example, can help your memory short term, but it's a stimulant.
Right.
Or these superfoods are actually helping your body do its healing work.
Right, I see.
Yeah.
I didn't know that See, and this is so great because I didn't realize that. I mean, I hear it's lion's mane especially, but I didn't think of that as, so healing for the neurological system. So that's really, I'm very excited to be hearing about this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're talking brain healing, which again is reflected in a whole host of ways. But like I mentioned, just the most noticeable often being memory.
Right,
so
of course.
My memory suffered big time. And even still, I mean, your body's always doing its healing and damage control.
Right.
So it's something I've been very diligent with.
So you make a chai formula that there's one with black tea, which is not a lot of black tea. I mean, it's pretty minimal caffeine wise, 10 milligrams per cup or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's about 10% of what would be in a cup of coffee.
Okay. Yeah, because
actually, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, truthfully, I would like for it to have a little more caffeine, but for some reason, with the dehydration process of the black tea leaf, it reduced the caffeine level.
Oh.
It's enough in there to be somewhat noticeable, but for me, maybe not most people. But then for people who are on the strict no caffeine routine, I do have the herbal version as well. With rooibos.
Well, I'm really sensitive to caffeine. Like, if I have a single shot decaf, whatever, latte or mocha or cappuccino as a treat, if I have it decaf after like 11 a.m., I probably won't be able to fall asleep until 3 or 4 in the morning. So it's really sensitive. And I can drink the infinity chai, the black tea version, in the afternoon, and I can still totally sleep. So I appreciate that about that product, that I don't have to only drink it in the morning before 11 a.m. to be like, I'm okay. I appreciate that. But
probably the lion's mane, truthfully.
Okay. Well, so is that why you put medicinal mushrooms in that product? Because from an Ayurvedic standpoint, right, I love chai because, especially when it's herbal or practically herbal, because it's such a digestive aid, and digestion is the root of all health. But you infuse yours with a bunch of medicinal mushrooms, and so again, neurological support. Say more about that product.
Okay, well, so I'm going to share a little secret about the infinity chai. One of my passions is meditating in a stellar location with a hot cup of chai in hand.
Okay.
And so why not have that chai be truly restorative and supportive of the meditation directly?
That's rad, yeah.
So it really serves a very specific purpose for supporting my meditative practice, truthfully.
Okay, and, I love it.
It's also targeting the immune system. So it's chai, traditional chai. It's a recipe from the Himalayas that's been brewed for millennia. Yeah. And each of these classic chai ingredients, like ginger, cardamom, clove, nutmeg, cinnamon, each of these foods has a very adaptogenic supportive property of helping everything in the body work better.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love chai. I'm almost getting like emotional about it. Like how much I love chai. That's awesome. Well, I hope everyone who's watching and who's like, soaking this up really tries some of your products. I'm just going to say, like, I have in my shop, ayurvedaeveryday.shop, I have Billy's products. I'm an affiliate. So if you look in products we love, that's where you'll find it. And then also, what your site is, Infinity Greens? No.
Yep.
Yes.
InfinityGreens.com. Infinity Greens is the flagship formula.
Yeah, and so let's talk about it. Your Infinity Greens formula, because that's your green superfood formula. And I mean, again, I worked for Health Force for 7 years, Health Force Superfoods, and Vitamineral Green has been a staple in my kitchen. I remember buying it when I went to college at UC Santa Barbara and they sold it at the Isla Vista Co-op. I mean, I couldn't have been older than 20. And I remember buying the big jar and like, being like, I'm so into health. It was a big deal to buy it because it was expensive, right? Especially at that time. And I like savored my very first jar. But I'm more familiar with that one, and that formula is really quite green focused and almost only green focused. I mean, he adds amla and carob and a couple other things, but yours is more diverse, and I'm curious about why. Like, I'm curious about what your thinking is around your green superfood formula.
Well, that's opening up a whole encyclopedia of information. That it is a precision blend of these 26 different plant foods, each of which are serving a very specific purpose, like these other formulas. Infinity Greens being the original flagship formula of the product line, I do believe to be the most important. That absolutely the Infinity Greens formula reflects as a healthier brain, as reducing inflammation in the body and all things of this nature, an improved immune system, improved lymphatic digestion, all sorts of benefits from these foods, but it is also largely focused on detoxification.
Okay.
And that so often in this modern diet, even the natural food movement, we're intent on getting specific nutrients. And really, that's only half of the picture. So much of our health routine needs to be about pulling the toxic funk out.
Yeah.
And what enables the body to do so is a strong digestive system.
Yes.
So that's a foundational element of our health. And so when we're able to have when we have a stronger digestive system, we're getting all of these toxins from this modern day and age of breathing less than perfect air quality and water and contaminants in food. This stuff slowly accumulates, and that when your digestive system is not just cycling that stuff through, it does accumulate, and everything gets weaker. And it's alarming just to see the increase in cancer, for example. It doesn't have to be this way.
Right.
And so to have a truly detoxified body, it's about that chlorophyll, the enzymes to be breaking things down, the strong intestinal flora.
Yes.
To truly extract full nutritive value, to absorb all of this stuff, to build that silver bullet, oxygen, nutrient-rich blood, like I've been talking about.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I'm gonna go
it's a whole...
Yeah! Yeah! Yeah, do it! Because it is all, I mean, so much of the modern disease is preventable, and I think that's a passion that, you and I really share. It's like, it also feels so good to be feeling good.
It's really just stunning to see with your own eyes what these foods can do, and I had that privilege. Where I worked as a trainer and nutritionist at the Ashram Health Retreat in Los Angeles, where 13 guests would come for an entire week to do this detoxification program, and they were on a very precision, diligent routine, and these people. They would come and go as different people, really.
Yeah, no doubt.
They would come and you could just see the difference in their eyes. They would lose weight. You could just tell that. I mean, their skin looked better, and they were just more vibrant. So it's really something to pay close attention to and take very seriously. That it is a real deal investment in your health. So that's why I'm very passion driven with it.
Yeah, it's so awesome. You do such a great job. So I just want to say, with Billy's bars, we could go on and on, but we do have to wrap things up just so, my computer is like going crazy. So he, Billy also has an amazing vitamin C product that also has ashwagandha and ginger and, a little bit diverse in terms of the sources of vitamin C. And he infuses that into a food bar. He takes the infinity greens and he infuses that into a food bar. He takes his protein powder, which is my favorite vegan protein powder. I think it's the cleanest, the easiest to digest. I'm a huge fan. I'm always recommending your protein powder. He infuses that in his bars, and then he also puts the chai into his bars now, which is awesome. And the bars are have a base of dates and raw honey and raw almond butter. So, I mean, I just think they're so amazing. Sometimes when I'm introducing people to them, because I have been working for your company just ever so slightly, like 1% of what I do in the world, but I definitely promote your products in my community. And sometimes people who are like ketogenic or paleo, they won't do it because of they're really concerned about the sugar content. So that's my last question for you before we wrap it up is, because I think these bars are so powerful and so good. I mean, I never leave home without them. And you have a book too, where you do talk about sugar and fruit sugars, but just for the sake of this interview.
Right. Oh boy, opening up a whole nother grand topic.
I know, I'm sorry.
Version of it. So the buzz about sugar and how it has been misleading is that right now, rather than looking at the ingredients, people look at the nutrition facts.
Right.
And so, and it almost takes priority. Like, people would rather have a bar that has 2 grams of sugar and is sweetened with xylitol,
right,
which is fermented sugar. And sure, it's sugar-free, but it draws water into your intestines and causes a whole host of imbalance.
Yeah.
And, of course, the reason that sugar in general has such a negative stigma is because the majority of the sugar in our diet is processed sugar,
right?
Which is a massive inflammatory. It is absolutely very damaging to the body, underestimated so.
Sure.
And what we need to understand is that there's, course... Oh, sure.
Zuzu. I have a brand new puppy, so...
Oh!
I don't know what she's barking at, but... All right. Sorry.
Not disruptive to me. A puppy never could be.
Okay.
My golden retriever is somewhere around here.
Oh.
So, now, there's sugar in fruit. And so, for example, there's about 20 grams of sugar in a banana. It's obviously very dependent on the size, and a green banana has less sugar. Anyway, a whole other topic. But now we're talking a brilliant food. The elite sugars, which are in fruit and things such as honey, are great because it's instant fuel. Sugar turns to glucose right away, where other foods can take hours to break down to convert to energy. And also, these healthy plant sugars and natural sugars like honey, the intestinal flora, the natural bacteria in your body, thrive on these foods. Where, conversely, with processed sugar, even the natural processed sugars like agave, is, unfortunately, the parasites thrive on those.
Right. Uh-huh.
And so, rather than being so concerned with the sugar calories, it's about going for the elite sugars, and it takes some moderation. I don't think that it's, if you had 6 bananas, it would be imbalancing. But if you have a few pieces of fruit a day, is that going to be imbalancing? Not for most people.
Right.
There are some people that should be on a zero sugar diet for some medical reasons.
Right, or for a period of time to recover their health.
Sure.
But yeah. That's really well said. That's very helpful to hear the way that I like that you're calling them elite sugars. Like
Right.
they're really in a class by themselves. The fruit sugars and the sugar from raw honey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, Billy,
Yeah.
it's so great to meet you in person. And
Likewise.
I'm sure that everybody who tunes into this is super grateful for your knowledge, your wisdom, and your amazing product line that really is so life changing. So thank you for what you do in the world. And thanks for popping into Ayurveda every day with Talia so we could, um, you know, absorb the profound amazingness.
Well, that's an amazing compliment. It's a joy. Thank you so much, Telly, for
Yeah,
having me on your
yeah.
show.
So
It's
again,
a real pleasure.
everyone, Billy Merritt, infinitygreens.com, and you can also find his products on my website, ayurvedaeveryday.shop. We love you, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.